So this reading is going to be for the blue moon. I know a lot of people have been asking me about it, like kind of like what it's going to be about and what to look forward to. For this one, I'm going to use the Deviant Moon deck. So, which is it's a little darker deck, because it's going to be a dark day. It's Halloween and a blue moon, so it's going to be some, it's going to be some wild energies, and we definitely have a lot going on in the world. Especially this year, with the pandemic and everything that's been going on. So a lot of people definitely have been doing a lot of shadow work during this time, and it's going to be the day for it. I can tell you that right now. I'm also going to pull right now some cards from the Moonology deck since we're dealing with the moon. I don't know if I'm going to get the blue moon card or not, but let's see what the oracle cards say for this. So I've got the card Expect Powerful Change. So we could definitely be prepared for that. Expect powerful change. So it's going to be a very significant moon. A lot of things, not just in your world, but in the world, I would go ahead and venture to say that's what's going on. Now, I also have the card Bring Love into the Situation. So whatever situation that you may have going on right now, if you are kind of in a dark period with someone, the message is definitely bring love into the situation. And that is real important for a spiritualist, and this card is sticking. And I got the card Emotions Are Running High. Emotions are running high. So it's definitely going to be, for a lot of you, be prepared for some heavy, intense emotions, to be coming to surface, because a blue moon is a very unusual moon. It's very magical to be on Halloween. So just think about that. So let's go ahead and draw some from the Deviant Moon and see what the messages are from Spirit. A little different kind of energy. Okay, so what is my first card? This one's kind of sticking out here, so let's take this one. So I've got the Hierophant in the reverse position. Now, he is especially about spiritual knowledge. So I kind of look at this in a reverse position. One of the things that we have definitely been seeing, among many, many spiritualities is a lot of people are really failing their tests and so forth. They really are, as far as what it comes to what they know and what they've learned. This doesn't mean that you will. That would mean everybody who watches will. But it's important that we are going to kind of be tested on what we know during this time. All that spiritual knowledge that you have accumulated over even the last many years, is really being put to the test here. What is the right thing to do? What is spirituality about? What does it mean for me? Especially my own spiritual growth. So really taking what and going forward with this moon is really going to be put to task, during this time. And I can definitely feel it even for myself. Okay, I've spent 20 years, learning all about spirituality. Now I got to take what I know and, what am I supposed to do with it all? Definitely. Now, the Ten of Wands, as you can see, he's carrying the wands and he's very overloaded. This is a burden card. And notice the full moon in the background. It's definitely got a full moon. But especially as what can you release? What is your burden that you need to let go of? What have you been carrying in your subconscious mind that has got to go? So this is definitely a time to release and let go. So definitely kind of look at what have I been carrying? And we've all been carrying something heavy during this year, definitely. And we've had to really kind of look at what is most important to us and what is it that we need to drop. So really focus on what do I need to let go of. So then I've got the energy of the King of Wands. I've got that fire and that passion. And it's especially about being a leader. So some of you are really being called to task. Look at the spiritual knowledge. Really kind of, I got to pass my test. But especially about what areas am I meant to lead and so forth. Where I'm going to take the fire and what am I going to do with it during this time. I see he's kind of surrounded by the little ones and so forth. So he's really guiding them, and he's got that torch in his hand, which is the wand, and he's going to be leading him in the right direction. So some of you, if you have felt your calling to be these spiritual leaders and so forth, there are certain lessons that you have learned of the Hierophant, and it's really time to lead others through the darkness during this time. So don't think you don't have the capacity to lead. A lot of us light workers are leaders, and we are meant to do that, and we need to do that. Now, this is the Five of Cups, which is especially about mourning a loss. In this card, it's a little bit different. There is a lot of fighting going on. There's a lot of negative things that have been said, and these things become our thoughts. So there are many of you that are having to face those subconscious, deeper emotions of like negative thoughts that are in your head. See that just kind of, beating up that person. What are you beating yourself up with? I want you to kind of look at what negative thoughts do you keep telling yourself that you are almost punishing yourself with your own words. Now, maybe other people said things to you before and they play like a tape recorder that just keeps playing over and over certain things in your head. But you have to also take note that now it is your voice and you have the ability to change your self-talk in your mind. Set aside what other people may have said about you, that it was very negative, even if you went through some kind of verbal abuse with a partner or parents or anything like that. It's time to turn that off. See, the moon is full in this one as well. It's time to kind of face these negative thoughts and realize they are not your own thoughts, and you need to be kinder to yourself, how you speak about yourself. This one's popping out. So I do have the Nine of Cups. Now, this is a wishing card. Clearly, it's a wishing card. And you can see the genie coming out with the wishes. I also look at this. This is a time to kind of really look, what do I most want out of everything? I've been doing all the spiritual lessons. I'm doing the work. I'm doing the shadow work and everything. But sometimes I feel like people are doing all this work, but they don't know exactly what they want out of it. So this is kind of the time to really sit there and think about, what do I most wish for myself? What do I really want to happen out of all of this work? And one of the things I was even talking about in the group, I did a post, how important it is to become real. That especially is the goal of the spiritual path. And hopefully that is your wish, that you want to do that. Maybe you're not perfect, and it's really not about perfection on the spiritual path to grow in that way, because no one's ever going to be perfect. No one is. It's not about acquiring a massive knowledge that, because you could never possibly know anything or everything, I should say. You will know something. But kind of think of that. It's not about perfection, but it is about impeccability. We want to try to, be as good as we can be, of course, but we're never going to be perfect. So we have to look at that kind of self-talk in there. We got to stop beating ourselves up, that we just are so hard on ourselves. So I kind of look at this blue moon, that you really got to kind of look at, not only not be hard on yourself, but kind of what do you really want to attain? What is your deepest wish and desire? Six of Pentacles seems to be coming up for me a lot. And if you watch my video on the LOA and the Prosperity Gospel and stuff, about giving and receiving and so forth. So especially during this time, one of the things to also recognize is you have something to give to this world. It's kind of the message that I get through this, because this is a blue moon. This is a big one. And we're going through a lot of changes. And a few days after that blue moon is the election. So I want you to kind of look at, what do you have to give to the world? Now you have been doing all these spiritual lessons. You're doing the shadow work. You're working on the self-love and everything else. So you've acquired quite a bit. See, he's got a lot of pentacles right behind him and everything like that. But what can you give? Especially, and you can see people are in distress and so forth. And you may have something valuable that you could give to another, even if it's simply your time. But some of those lessons, what can you share with others that could actually help them? Now, of course, we got the Nine of Swords, and I know a lot of people are kind of, you're all kind of dreading the blue moon, like what to expect and so forth. And this card is especially about us expecting the worst and so forth. We've all been having a lot of sleepless nights, and we're all worried about that. But it's important, we've got that negative self-talk. We talked about this card here, and we want to kind of release that. But we also want to release our fears. So during this time, the blue moon especially, on a night that maybe some people would be afraid, right? That's when the dead do rise. But especially about that, we want to face our fears. So during this time, this is going to be your task, is really, what are you really afraid of? And then also, as you're afraid of it, why? And then also look at, why am I not trusting spirit? Why do I still fear certain things to happen to me, even though I've got spirit in my corner? We really need to kind of look at that. So we talked about the King of Wands, but we've also got the Knight of Wands, which is a little bit different here. Especially, how people are meant to go lead, and they're meant to go take action. And some of you may just want to really contemplate during this time. So the reversal to me is okay. Before I'm going to find my purpose and what I'm really meant to do, with taking all these lessons spiritually, maybe we want to contemplate a little bit, just use this day to really plot and plan. But one of the things I would kind of like some of you to do is really get a notebook out, and what I would do is even write down certain lessons that you've learned, certain spiritual knowledge that you've acquired over time. What have you learned the most right here? Okay, right here I'm on my blue moon. Where am I at right now on my spiritual path? What growth do I still need to do? But what have I accumulated so far that I'm at this moment? Here is my window right now. What have I learned? And a card just fell, and it's the Seven of Pentacles. And see, that is about the harvest. And that's one of the things, Halloween and during this time, and fall is about the harvest. So especially, just like I was saying, what have I learned? What is my harvest? What have I gained from all this work? Now, one of the things, the Seven of Pentacles, it can sometimes symbolize a poor harvest. So I would kind of look at, what areas of growth have I been lacking? Not beat yourself up, okay, though. Not beat yourself up. But maybe, am I placing my pentacles or my seeds in the wrong places? Where they're just not being nurtured and they're not growing. Should I maybe place them elsewhere? Because we want to be really careful with the pentacles and how we use them and stuff. Of course, they are definitely about growth, earth, air, water, fire, spirit. Okay, so we definitely look at that, but where can I put my pentacles? Am I putting them in the wrong place? Maybe I'm in the wrong job. Maybe I just can't grow in this position, and I'm meant to do something different. So kind of look at that. Am I putting my pentacles in relationships that just start growing, and I'm not receiving back, what I need that is beneficial, that is good for my spirit? So this is a time during the blue moon to look at that. And what is the outcome card? And I'm still going to draw a few more than the outcome, as I like to do that. That one flew out. And the one that flew out is the Six of Swords, and it's in the reverse position. So as you can kind of see, it's kind of being held up, and he's kind of floating by, and he's kind of getting out of situation. But this one, I kind of look at a little bit different, because the Six of Swords especially can be about leaving a difficult situation behind. And for some of you, you will inevitably do that. But it is in a reverse position. So I feel like it's kind of saying, inevitably you can move on from certain situations. But before you make that move where you're going to go forward, this is the time to kind of really look at what you've learned and really assess the situation. Because before you kind of drop everything and you leave certain behinds and you go forward on the journey, I want you to just kind of sit down with it. And what other lessons before I can go forward do I really still need to learn? And that's a time to really go to the guides. Matter of fact, let me draw from my Ask the Guides card, and I'll kind of see what they're kind of saying. What would the guides like to say to us? So I've got the card Deprivation. I know it's a tough moon, right? deprivation. What do I feel like I'm being deprived of during this time? What is missing? Think of that harvest that I was kind of talking about. Am I not planting my seeds in the right place? My pedicles and so forth, to be able to really manifest and so forth. But especially we could kind of look at that, and this is a prosperity guys are saying this. So what am I depriving myself of? That, and I want you to kind of think of that negative self-talk that goes through people's heads, like I was talking about the one card, the Five of Cups, that we're kind of beating ourselves up and so forth. So just like, what am I depriving of myself? One of the things, spirituality, we really want to nurture ourselves, and we want a life that is full and rewarding. And yes, it's, we're going to deal with light and darkness. We're definitely going to do that. We want to do the positive and the self-love and the self-care and everything that is good and nurturing, but at the same time, we also want to take care of our darkness so it does not, eclipse all of that light and snuff it out. So it's very important. But what areas are you depriving yourself? And then I've got the bravado, the warrior guides are saying there. I know bravado is kind of a lot of show. Okay. So I kind of look at that, and maybe some of you on the spiritual path, you're trying to make it look like you've really got it all together. For other people, oh yeah, I'm doing real good on my spiritual path. I do my shadow work. I've knocked it out. I've dealt with all my demons. I've slayed them. I can exorcise entities. I can do this and that. I'm a great Reiki master. I want you to kind of look at that, because one of the things is spiritual, the spirit will really humble us. They will show us, what we got to work on. So some of you might, be kind of sitting there and you think you made it already and so forth. And it's good to be confident, do not get me wrong, but bravado is a little bit different and stuff like that. We do want to be warriors and so forth. But, one of the things, about a warrior is they also have to know their weaknesses. That is one of the things. Because, just think of the Achilles tendon. They knew where to get Achilles. He still had a weak spot. So especially, don't be so, I've got this. Also know your weaknesses is really important. And then I've got the card business. Now, when I kind of see this, and this is a Venus card, okay? I feel like, we got to take care of business when it comes to all the spiritual growth that we got to do. We've got to work at it. Think of it as a job. It really is a job in many ways, that constantly, but it can be very rewarding. That is the one thing. If I approach spirituality like it's my job, and sometimes I do, I'm a Capricorn, so I am going to do that. I want the structure and so forth. And of course, I want to go ahead and reap the rewards that I can on the spiritual path to better myself and so forth. But really kind of look at that, that this is work, and it is kind of a business. It really is. It really is. And we do want some kind of payoff and so forth for the work we have invested into our spiritual path. But the most part, it's very positive. I see no doom and gloom here, but I definitely got that, we got to face our fears. It could be a stressful time. We're definitely, we're worried about our own personal bubble, but we're also worried about the world and everything that's going on. So it's really important to trust spirit. Let's do a lighter oracle. I'm going to pull from a few oracles because I kind of want to really get a lot of messages from the blue moon. And this is my favorite oracle deck. So what does this one say? So this is the card Creative Wonderment, Follow Your Passion. So this is especially, so much of what the spirit is about is especially about we do the work to really find out what we're most passionate about and finding our passion during this time. So that is very important. Remember, I drew the King and I drew the Nine of Wands and so forth, which is a lot about passion and so forth. But we've got to get out of our own way. We've got to take care of business, just like it says, okay? We've got to take care of our business. And then we have Archangel Raphael, provider of healing for mind, body, and spirit. So there is a lot of healing going on, but we want a complete healing. We want a complete overhaul. And that's what we're really going to focus on the blue moon. What do I still need to work on? Without beating ourselves up, okay? Without beating ourselves up, what do I still need to work on? And then, of course, I got the card Gratitude. This seems to be, my guides are always trying to remind you all be grateful for all you have. That is a big one. My guides are all about gratitude. I'm telling you, they're always on me about that. Be grateful for what you have, you know. And if things feel like, this is missing, that is missing, I am telling you, when you thank the spirit for things, over time and stuff, it really makes a difference. I have learned that, it seems like the more I show gratitude, and it's got to be sincere, but it seems like spirit will provide more. I really feel that spirit likes to be appreciated. Think about you as a parent. If you do for your child, you want to be appreciated. Maybe you don't need to be paid back, all that money you gave them, or even for putting them through college, but just some kind of appreciation, an acknowledgement, to not be taken for granted. Because that's one of the things we don't want to take the spirit for granted. But I feel like it's very positive. It's not a doom and gloom, and I use my darkest deck. Not that, and when I say darkest, it's not evil, it's not that, but it kind of deals with more the shadowy, the subconscious aspects, which can trip us up on the path. In that sense, can be a negative if I'm always tripping over my own feet because I'm trying to get ahead, but I got the subconscious forces that are just coming out of me and just messing everything up. We want to take care of business. So it's very positive, and I hope you enjoy my read.